So this is the legal play with Hap May. However, today we have Annalee May, of no relation. And Annalee helps us out in our probate department mostly. Annalee, today we are talking about attorneys ad litem.
Very important position appointed by the court in different situations. For example, in an heirship proceeding, and this is necessary when there is not a will to probate, and you have to ask the court to identify who the heirs are and what portion of the estate they are entitled to. Well, in this situation, the court appoints an attorney ad litem to represent the unknown heirs. So typically you may have uh, a mother who passed away, who we know who her children were, but there's always the possibility that she had been married before and had given a child up for adoption, or there's a child out there that no one knows about. So the attorney is appointed as an ad litem to represent those individuals if they exist. And the purpose is to determine if they exist. And that's another process.
Yeah, and there's different ad litems. And sometimes they're known as attorney ad litem, and I've heard them also referred to as guardian ad litem in some cases.
Yes, and that's a completely different animal.
Okay.
A guardian ad litem is different than an attorney ad litem that the court appoints even in a guardianship proceeding. Because an attorney ad litem in a guardianship proceeding is appointed to represent the incapacitated individual to make sure that the guardianship is sound and that it would be a good one going forward. But a guardian ad litem would be someone who is responsible for the individual.
Okay. So basically, though, an ad litem is, I don't want to say neutral necessarily, because usually there's your respondent, your petitioner, your plaintiff, your defendant. There's people, applicants in probate. I think it's applicants, and then your potential beneficiaries, and anybody who's interested in the court case can be represented by an attorney. But an ad litem is usually there to represent somebody who can't represent themselves.
Correct.
And this could be somebody who's incapacitated, either physically, mentally, or legally. Maybe they're minor children.
Correct.
And so they're just legally or physically unable to represent themselves. So the court would appoint somebody.
Right.
Or, like you were saying, they're unknown heirs who may not know about the proceedings. And the court says, well, okay, just because we aren't sure if these people out there have notice of these probate proceedings, we don't want their interests not to be represented. So we're going to appoint an ad litem.
Correct. And the ad litem has to do some work in order to determine if there's anyone else out there. And typically, the beneficiaries can give you the names of some witnesses that aren't interested, that they wouldn't take under the will, so to speak, if there was one, and have no rights, but they know the family. They've known the family for many, many years, and are able to say, no, I know they didn't have a will. I know that this person was only married one time. I know there are no other children, and that type of thing.
So you're talking about an attorney ad litem in like an heirship proceeding.
Correct.
Where there are potential unknown beneficiaries.
Correct.
And this is often necessary if there is no will.
Right.
Or I have found out recently that there's a copy of the will, but the original was lost. And we will have a different podcast on what happens if you don't have the will or you only have a copy. But there's extra hurdles, and some of them might be if noticing beneficiaries or people who were named in the will, and if you can't find them, they're transient according to the statute, then the court appoints an ad litem.
Well, for example, in a case that we have now, a husband and wife had a will, but during Hurricane Harvey, it was destroyed. And then the wife passed away, and we have no way to recreate that will. So we have to have an heirship proceeding,
Mhm.
which is what's required.
So what, now you became licensed, certified, what's the right word here to say that you are an ad litem? There's some kind of qualification that you have to be an ad litem in the system.
Yes, you have to take a course and then you have to sign up. Now, as far as a guardian ad litem, in a guardianship case, I had to take a course and to become certified, and you have to be recertified every 2 years.
Okay, to be someone who's representing unknown heirs in an airship, is there some kind of,
No, that's different. I think it's just I'm not 100% sure what I did to do that. I think it's just a course.
okay,
I mean, a simple course that the courts put out. But for guardianship ad litem, you do have to take a continuing legal education.
can parties in a case choose their ad litem
They can recommend,
to the court,
To the
who they
court.
would like to work with?
yes.
Okay, but if you don't know, the court has their own list that they can choose
They
from.
have a wheel. So anytime, for example, I'm on this wheel in the court system, in the probate court system, to be an attorney ad litem in heirship cases. So they just go down the list and the next person, the next person, the next person. At least that's the way it's supposed to work.
Okay. And how does the ad litem get paid?
It's a flat fee for an ad litem in probate, like in Harris County, it's $700. That's what you go into it knowing that that's the fee and that's what you're gonna get
This
paid.
amazes me actually, because some of the ad litems that we've worked with have put in hours and hours of work that is well beyond what one would expect for just a $700 flat fee.
And they can petition the court and show their all the work that they've done for more money, if that's what they want to do.
Okay.
It just hasn't happened.
So what do clients need to know if their case requires an ad litem? Are there any considerations that they need to know when working with an ad litem?
Well, just to give the ad litem all the tools to do his or her job, which is information.
Yeah, because I don't think they're like opposed to the case or to any party necessarily.
No,
They're
not
they're not
necessarily.
antagonistic. They're trying to kind of just make sure everything's represented, make sure the court has all the information that it needs in order to make a
They-
ruling on something.
Their job is to be thorough. And I believe that you can use common sense and you can do a good job. And, for example, I have a case where we don't know anyone from the woman's childhood, but she's lived in the same apartment for 30 plus years. The neighbors on both sides of her have said, we've never seen children there. We've never seen any visitors there. She takes care of cats. She takes care of dogs. We've never seen anyone visit her. So I can feel pretty confident that she was never married, that there are no children running around.
Yeah.
At least I feel confident. We don't have someone from her youth. So I guess ultimately it's going to be up to the judge. But my recommendation is there are no other children.
Okay, so then what it is it's just a someone say, I keep saying neutral, but really it's trying to represent unknown heirs to the best of your ability.
Exactly.
And then the ad litem gives their opinion to the court, and the court can take what information they can from that,
Right.
see what weight to give it, whether or not more work needs to be done, or if we're good to go.
Right. I mean, the judge may say, okay, well, give it one more try. Let's see if we can't find someone, and then we will.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm not really sure what else to say about ad litems. It's not really a scary thing. At least in my case, if you can work things out to avoid the need for an ad litem, that's usually the best case scenario if you're trying to save time and money.
Well, an ad litem is required by statute. So you have to have an ad litem in this situation.
If there's no will,
If there's no
or
will.
if there's copies of will and you can't get notice or waivers of
Right.
notice, there are certain situations where it's unavoidable.
Correct. But if you can avoid it, for sure at all costs.
Yeah.
It's best.
Yeah.
Have a will.
Yeah, but if you find yourself in a situation where you're having to work within ad litem, it's not the, end of the world.
No, it's not.
It's just communication is key.
Communication is key always.
Okay, well,
Okay.
Annalee, thank you for being here to talk about ad litem, attorney is ad litem, and I guess that's all for today.
Very good.
All right,
Until next time.
thank you.